Yep.
What's the word? You got to okay. There we go. Yo, why that look like you got the caffeine? I think I said that to you last time. Look like you got the
You
caffeine
did say that.
got the
I
caffeine
know.
signal in the
Mhm.
background, like the caffeine back call. What's the word though, Shooney?
What's up? What's up? You live already?
Yeah, we live. Um,
Oh, hold on,
so
I'm
we,
trying to get my computer up, so I'm listening to you.
yeah, so we're gonna get to the main question that everybody wants to know. Because I think I have a reason. Even though I don't think it's correct, do you have like a reason why you think you wound up being number 10?
Yeah, because I was mentioned at 12,
Mm. Okay.
and I think once. So, did you watch? You watched everything,
Nah,
or
I didn't.
did you just?
I
You're
didn't.
just seeing it?
Yeah, I just seen certain parts of it, glimpses. I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing in its entirety.
Okay, so it would be hard for you to understand, or maybe it won't. I can't say it will be, but for people that didn't watch it, um, me landing at 10 is crazy, right? But the even crazier part was that I started off in the conversation at 12.
Mm.
Okay. Now, taking everything into perspective, they only have a top 15. Last year, they only did a top 10. So, had you been last year and stuck to the criteria that you had last year, I wouldn't, under their gauge, I wouldn't have made the list at all. Right. So, that's part A of the disrespect. But they weren't even discussing me. They were discussing two different people. I forget the two names. And I don't even know if it was the people that landed at 13 and 12 or 14, whatever, but they were discussing two different people, and all of a sudden, dude goes, "Well, what are we doing with Shooney?" And it almost like halted the whole conversation. And then it was like, "Huh? Wait, what? What do you mean?" And then she made her argument of, "Well, we supposed to be enjoying stuff, and she's stumbling through all her battles, so we can't enjoy it." And then everybody's like, "Oh yeah, true." And then they started going, they weren't discussing people's wins or losses before that, right? So then they start going, "Oh, um, and how many battles did she have?" And somebody said, "Oh, she had 11 battles," right? Cool, kudos to me. That was a prop, right? She had 11
Mm-hmm.
battles, but seven of them was one rounders. Okay, but you just said that one rounders don't count, right? So if I had 11 battles and seven were one rounders, that means four were three rounders, right? They stop discussing the three-round battles and they get stuck on the seven one rounder. And then they start going, "Well, what was her record if she had 11 battles?" Then somebody screams out five, and then they stop there and they're like, "Okay." And then that's as far as statistics goes, numbers, criteria, whatever. And they stop and they have me at 12. And then they argue for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, about what's going on at 12 and who should be next, but they stop using the criteria. They stop going impact, they stop going performance, they stop going um what's the other one, consistency. They stopped talking about all of that. And then they got to who was supposed to be number 11, and then they're like, "So you telling me this person had a better year than Shooney?" "Nah, you right. Okay, Shooney's 11." Then they got to who was supposed to be at 10, and they're like, "So she had a better year than Shooney?" "Nah, you right. Shooney's at 10." And then now we're at an hour and a half of discussing me moving two spots, right? With no criteria for nobody else, no other names. Like, hold up. What about so and so? Completely took Miami off the list, all this, you know what I'm saying? A whole bunch of extra shit, right? And then they stop right there with me at 10. And nobody feels like arguing anymore. And you can see everybody's faces. They like, wow, it's a losing point. The majority rules, and they just move on with the rest of the list as if they didn't just have one of the hardest working people of last year at number 10 and just kept going
Yeah. Like
and
for
never mentioned me again. That's why I think I landed at 10.
yeah.
That's why I think I landed at 10, because now when we talk about facts, right? Um, yeah, I said one rounders don't count, right? That much. Okay, cool. Take them off. So let's only discuss my 4 round battles. I have one that was judged, that was head ice. I lost to head ice, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the polls, I lost to Fonz, but everybody agreed that that was a very good battle and it could be debated. If we're using the same criteria that y'all give me, that if somebody chokes or they stumble, they lost the round, that means that I beat Fonz 2-1, right? Who I'm never going to win on a poll. I'm not even winning on a poll against Suge, and we all watch me 3-0 Suge. That's fine, right? I beat Miami. right? And then I beat Jazz and Official. The 2 round, right? The 2-on-2, and that's the battle of the year. Then you start talking about what are the other things that Shooney did. I headlined 3 times on URL versus Fonz, versus Miami, and New Orleans with the 2-on-2. I headlined on Queen of the Ring versus Rock and Caution. Me and my husband also beat Rock and Caution, right? I won the belt at Midnight Madness. That moved the culture completely. Like Midnight Madness stopped the culture for I don't know how long. People was making teams, people was flying out, there was thousands of dollars on the floor, all of that. So all those things considered, and I still haven't even I only mentioned 2 1-rounders out of the 7, right? Then one of my 1-rounders was the very next day after the tournament. I battled Head Ice and I battled Kid Chaos the very next day in a very good battle. So if you take all of those other things, right, you talked about the negatives, but all of my positives, and my opinion, with facts, outweigh all of those things and outweigh at least 6 of the people that they had before me.
Yeah.
Maybe 7.
So
That's just my opinion. Why you think I ended up at 10?
so this has always been my thing. I always feel like anytime you are trying to give an award to somebody based on a prior year, that deliberation needs to happen in that year. Because as much as people say, well,
I could agree with that too.
I'm going off of this year. If you see something happen with somebody the next year, in your subconscious, that is there. So I feel like C3
Mm-hmm.
winning that money because shout out to C3 Queens Love, but she didn't win that
Does it
tournament to
count for
20.
this
Yeah,
year?
yeah,
Right, right, right.
that should count for
Mm-hmm.
2023 because
Mm-hmm.
she didn't get that money until 2023. So we didn't have a winner of the Chrome 23 tournament then. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like when they put her 3, they're no matter what they say, somewhere in their mind it's like, oh, she won 25K. How is she not top 3 of the year? Then also you had the great performance with with Suge, but the battle with Hustle happened, and as much as people are
Mm-hmm.
trying to say, "Yo, I'm not factoring
Neither
that in
one of
because it's
those
20,
count.
yeah, because it's 2023," I feel like that's in the
Mm-hmm.
back of their mind somewhere. Because my whole
Mm-hmm.
thing is this, right? Last year we go to the conversation, and I feel like these conversations got to be documented somewhere. All throughout the year, all I kept hearing when it came to Women of the Year was Hustle, Jazz, and Shooney in different
That's a
orders
fact.
at different time periods of the year. So how did we
Mm-hmm.
get all the way to the end of the year? And this was consecutively happening all the way up until like the outside card. Because I remember
Mm-hmm.
when I put the card together with URL, they were saying one of y'all should get on the card.
Hold on, I'm trying to read the comments. So
Okay,
let me make sure my computer's down. Hold on, I'm logging on. I
all right.
think I'm logging on your thing.
Yeah, but they were saying
Um,
like, you Hustle or Jazz should get on the card because if somebody got on the card with 2 days left in the year, that y'all could possibly steal it. So it's like, how is that the heavy conversation? But then when we get to the list, okay, Jazz and Hustle, like I said, I get that. Even one that would have won, I'm
mhm.
not mad. But how you not, 3? That's the
That
part that confused me. Like,
listen, and I felt that way too. I felt okay. In my opinion, I felt like I was top 3, right? But I
mm-hmm,
also kept saying I'm not mad at 5, right? In my opinion, there's no way in hell that I should have never made the top 5. There's also no way in hell that my name should have even been brought up at number 12 because that's where I started at.
yeah,
I'm telling you, DNA, and I don't know what they saying in the comments. If they watched it, they stopped right there and couldn't move no further. They even started saying, "Oh, this don't make no sense." And people's list just didn't make any sense anymore because you can't make sense of me being at 12. You
yeah,
can't make sense of me being at 10. And I don't care what Rita says, but when she started to go back, and we just were talking just a few minutes ago on Twitter, and she's like, oh, 40 was brought into the conversation where she needed to be. No, y'all left 40 off and y'all started going down the list after a while, and y'all were just going back over it. Okay, let's recap of what we have. And then somebody was like, wait a minute, 40's not on here. And then they was like, oh, yeah, 40. Boom, and threw her back into the conversation. They were like, oh, yeah, we're going to revisit Miami. Never came back and mentioned her name again. And when she was discussed, they left off one of her battles. Miss Miami was on URL 3 times last year. There's
Suge,
not many other
you,
women that did that. And Beretta, they never
yeah.
even mentioned the Beretta battle. And she won that battle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I feel like I said, I feel like also, you know what I mean, in general, like it gotta be some type of like I get they got criteria, but then it's like the criteria is like
It's
almost
moving around, if
yeah,
we
yeah,
being
yeah.
honest.
Like you get
It,
what you get what I'm saying. Like, all right, put it like this. Like when you play basketball, it don't matter how ugly your shot is. If you shoot between a certain line, it's worth 3 points. Somebody can say, I
yep.
don't like the way he shot it. I don't like the way that happened, but it went in. I feel like when you just give vague criteria, you get it's opinionated and it's like you're not sticking to like almost like a point system. Like if you put out how much everything is worth, then at that point, even though it's still opinion based, somebody just got to give 20 points because okay, this person had um a more
And
consistent
then, no
consistent yeah.
disrespect, for some of the things that they were using to justify one person, they were using them against it. When they put Chirac on the list, no disrespect to her, I think she had a decent year. I don't feel like she should have been on the list, right? But the thing that they gave to get her on the list was she battled 40 and they had a debatable. Then when they went to 40 and discussed some of 40's accolades, they was like, oh, she gave a shot to a newcomer and she beat her.
Yeah.
I thought it was debatable. That's how Chirac got on here. You understand what I'm saying? No disrespect to 40. Then it's like, oh, well, light works. They don't count because light works in 90 seconds. And then it was like, but Casey, man, whoo, she tore Arsenal's head off. The light work, y'all.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are we, you know what I'm saying? What are we doing? Then it's like, oh, well, Shooney choked this many times. Okay. 40 choked, Pastavia choked, Yoshi choked. And all of those were talked about as minor mishaps. They used the word mishaps. But for me, it was, well, Choke Master showed its face again. Okay, cool. Let's talk about the ones I didn't choke in, if that's what you want to do. Still four, five, six of them that had clean performances and still outweighed what other people did. And I only want to speak on myself, like I said, Midnight Madness, Prom King and Queen, three URL headlines, a headline on Queen of the Ring, touched seven different stages. Most of my battles was under 2 week prep. I battled two guys in 48 hours. Like, you can't tell me that I didn't have a crazy ass year with Impact. And then you start to line up other people's accolades. They don't match up at all.
Yeah.
There's no justification for where I landed at all.
No, like I said before you got on here, I was like, yo, at 5, I say 3. But at 5, I'm like, all right, you pushing it, but I'll jack it. Anything under 5 is like, what were we watching
Yeah,
last year? What were we seeing?
right.
Like, I don't.
And Mia, I'm reading the comments. If that's true, let's talk about the others that stumbled every battle, every round. If that's true, and that's not true, but if it is true, let's talk about the others and how they fare against me.
Yeah,
If you're gonna count my chokes and my stumbles, count everybody and make them make sense.
yeah. I feel like I said though, man. Shout out to Jay Black because you know when you critiquing something and you're not actually a person putting it together, it's easier said than done. But being
That's a
that
fact.
But being that it's been here for so many years now, and I don't think it's going anywhere, which is a great thing. I think it's certain things that got to be adjusted because at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, you're not gonna like a list regardless. Everybody got their favorites, everybody got what they like, and
For
everybody got
sure.
their own opinion. But my whole thing is getting the list as accurate as you can. You feel me? Like Miss Hustle, anybody that's a Miss Hustle supporter are not gonna agree with Miss Hustle being number 2. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, it's like that could have went either way. So
It could have.
that's not
And I
that's
also,
not
I
crazy.
had said that too. I'm like, I don't think that they did them justice as far as running down what they did and how
Mm-mm.
important their stuff was as well. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that they were all unanimous and who should be number one, but you still have to go through why a little
Yeah.
bit better. That's what I feel, right? I also felt like Official had a better year than a lot of people. I think that when they wanted to make an argument to move somebody, the argument was made and it was impactful and it was felt, but then they started throwing in other words when they felt like it. If you use the criteria and you stick by the criteria, impact, performance, consistency, and I think there's one more, the list gets moved around very drastically, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think Caution should have made the list, Casey should have made the list, Vixen should have made the list, but where these people landed, I don't think was in the right space. I don't think, again, shout out to Chirac, I don't think she should have been there at
Mm-hmm.
all. Over somebody like Miss Miami, that's wow. right?
Yeah.
There's certain people that didn't make the list. Like even Casey made the list, but Casey just made the list by battling Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
Toward the very end, right?
Hold on.
You get that one
I'm trying to go to
in there.
I'm gonna go to OTF from Z because I'm gonna say, like, in my opinion, where I feel like, not me, and it went wrong. So in my opinion, when I'm looking at this list, where's it at? It's right here. Okay. I would have Jazz and Hustle could be in the change. You know what I mean? That's
For
cool.
sure.
I'd have had you at 3. I would have
I
kept.
thought me and C3 could be interchangeable.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean,
I
because of
think
the
we
run.
should. I think me and her should have been 3 and 4.
Yeah, like me, I would have had you at 3. I would have had C3 at 4. I
Hmm.
would have had Casey at 5. That would have been my starting 5. And then and
I'm
then
not mad at that. I'm
and then
not mad at
40
Casey being at
Vixen.
5, but I probably would have had 40 in my number 5 spot.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, because of the QB battle and because of the ill will battle. In between is the gray area for me with 40, but those two were really really big battles, and she won those largely. So that's why I had her like, you know what I mean? I think she
Yeah.
definitely should have been top 5.
Only reason why I had said Casey is because just because, even though it's a woman list, they gonna count the wins over the guy. Now I mean, the Arsenal win, the Verb win,
Mm-hmm.
and then she beat Official. But I feel like Hustle said that too. Hustle was like, when it came to her, they wasn't counting her light works. But then, like you
Yep.
said, when it came to Casey, you know,
They held a lot of weight.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the point that I'm making. You know what I mean? Whether you mad about me landing where I landed, official, whatever the case may be, clearly the goalpost was moved depending on who they were talking about. And that's
yeah,
the problem. And I think you allow that to come in when you don't use the criteria. When I first started, I was giving them props. I'm like, oh yeah, they going by the criteria this year. You know what I'm saying? They using facts to argue, and then somehow or another the facts just went out the window. Like I was baffled when they started to mention Prestavia's light works. And I mean not her light works, her year and what she did. And the biggest credit they gave her was that she was a Christian and she sounds good on beat. That girl did a lot of stuff last year.
yeah,
But let them tell it. Her being a Christian and she sounds good on beat was the best thing she did last year. It was like, what? How is that?
yeah,
You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm not just speaking for me. I'm speaking for everybody. When you're not speaking about what people have done and the hard work that they put in the right way, it gets overshadowed and it allows for things to look the way that they look. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
that's not Prestavia did a lot of stuff. I think they kind of mentioned briefly her being in the house, or whatever the case may be, but they didn't really dive into the stuff she did on Chrome. None of that. None of
yeah.
that. Unless they were talking about how to move Yoshi up. Then that's how they were talking about it.
Yeah, so with that being said, right, because I know it's no, and what I also wanted to say before I forget, right, because they, shout out to Casey, her getting that W on Arsenal was, what I mean, a big thing. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, Hustle got a win on JC in the same setting, which is a tournament winner that won
Facts.
120,000. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if you want to count the light works, right, and you want to say credibility, what I mean, there's credibility there for y'all to take both of them. But let me ask you this, because I seen certain people say, what I mean, shout out to Yoshi, but I seen certain people
Mm-hmm.
say like Yoshi was where she was at because of last year's discrepancy.
Mm, I don't know. I mean, I thought she asked not to be counted last year. I think Yoshi definitely deserved to be on that list. And I'm
Yeah,
actually not mad that Yoshi's at 8 or 7, wherever she's at. I think that's the right number for her. I think the problem is the people that she landed in front of, right? So if
mm-hmm.
you moved official up, you moved me up, you know what I mean? You moved caution back, then you don't have that discussion with Yoshi.
Yeah,
She's only brought up because she's in front of official, she's in front of me. You know what I'm saying? She's in front of Bonnie. Like
yeah,
those things only become a topic because of where you had the other people. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah,
And if you didn't have Yoshi having any clear wins, how does that make sense? Right?
yeah. I
That
also, right.
so that's where people start to question where it's like, oh, this is weird. And then you mentioned the word credibility. And I like Lola, no diss, but the things that she's saying toward Hustle should not be allowed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hustle is not on a panel, so Hustle can speak however she wants. Yes, you are a person, but once you take on the role to be on a panel or something like that, you cannot talk like that. You're not gonna find anybody from ESPN calling LeBron a bitch or calling LeBron, you know what I mean, a bum or a bozo in tweets and stuff like that because they are now on a show, on a panel that they're trying to show that they don't have any biasness. So if I feel like y'all are giving biasness, not speaking just me, but I'm talking about Hustle, right?
Yeah.
You now go up here and you call me bums and all types of names. How do we think that you're credible to do anything next year that would have her name in it?
Yeah, you know what was crazy. What I always tell people is they don't know what they signing up for. It's like when I'm a judge. When I was a judge, right? And people go, yo, everybody got predictions. Everybody got who they got to win. Even if that's the case, we do. We human. But once you sign up to be a judge or be somebody on a panel of that nature, you cannot display that. Everything just has like. I mean, when I
Yep.
was judging, I'm not giving predictions because now if I'm like, if it's true for on Geechee and I say, well, I think Geechee gonna win, and then next week Truthful be like, well, I don't want DNA being a judge because he got Geechee. It's like he's right because it sounds compromised. So it's like I feel like you know what it is. She wanted to judge because she definitely loves battle rap. I seen her name a lot. You know what I mean throughout the culture, but I think it is the responsibility of you got to understand once you take that role, everybody's not going to be happy with
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, your decision. You know what I mean? Me doing interviews, I
Yeah.
do interviews. It's people that won't come on my show, and my shits be respectful. I don't never talk crazy, but I still understand it. Like I get it. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like she didn't
Like,
really.
and I think she knows a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think she knows a lot, and I think her speaking that way does a discredit to what she knows and how knowledgeable she is. Because no matter what, it's gonna be like, whoa, like you can't do that. And I see people saying Skip Bayless be saying, yeah, he do talk reckless, but he ain't calling nobody no fucking bitches and bums. Pull up a tweet and show it to me. Show it to me. He may say, oh, this person ain't worth anything on the court, and this, that, and the third. He not personally attacking somebody's character like that. Y'all gotta stop. Y'all gotta stop. Like you signed up for that. So of course we, the people that are put in the work, are going to be mad. And of course she's gonna talk crazy to her, but Hustle is not a judge. She's not
yeah,
on a panel. She's not, so she doesn't have the responsibility to not speak that way, right?
yeah, exactly.
Um Farrah doesn't have the responsibility not to speak that way. Even when Official and Do started arguing and Do used profanity and she's like, who's using profanity? You know what I'm saying? And Official's like, you, her officials right. Yeah, you upset, but you can't just start saying fuck down because of fuck what you did. Like you can't start talking like that because you are on a panel of respected people or supposed to be. You can't start speaking like that because somebody's upset. You
Yeah,
can't start doing that. You
yeah.
just can't.
No, I agree.
That's like a teacher. Like that's why we get mad when teachers fight the students. Who has the responsibility? Yeah, the students wilding, but who took an oath and responsibility to do something better?
Yeah,
Not the student.
yeah, exactly. Now you like basically it's like you know what you signed up for. It's like if your child having a tantrum, where does that stem from? That stems from 9 times out of 10, right? If they don't got a disorder and they wasn't born that way, that stems from you giving them what they want. So it's you that got to take accountability for them having a tantrum. When y'all both have a tantrum, now it's 2 kids. So when you sign up to be,
But
you know what I mean, the judge or the person on the panel, we all get emotional. But I feel like, yeah, you definitely got to control your emotions. But I also feel like, right, with Official and with Vixen, because it's crazy, they got, like, but Official caught more slight than Vixen, but Official got graded on a curve last year. So that's why she
mm,
landed where she landed because she didn't have a
mm,
bad year, but it's just where people rank her amongst the grand scheme of the woman. So because she didn't live up to that expectation, they just try to chalk it up as until you know what I mean, it's this. And then like she said,
mm,
look at who she went against. She battled me.
right.
She battled Av. She battled
Mm-hmm.
you and Farrah. Like she had a
And I
quality
think all
year.
of those were I think all of those were impactful battles as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I think, you know what I mean? All things considered. And I think she had a really good year. And I see somebody's question was like, what are um my suggestions to make things, I gave my suggestions that they stick to the criteria throughout the actual programming, right?
mm-hmm,
I also feel like maybe y'all are showing too much of the conversation. Maybe y'all can just show, okay, we got to this number and this, they're here. And this is what put them here. Maybe we don't see the part where they're like, oh, well, she's a Christian. She sounds good on beat. Maybe we don't see that. Maybe we don't see, you know what I mean? Oh, well, she had a mishap and, we don't know if she really choked right here. She just was upset because somebody said something about her mother, like, or her kids. Maybe we don't see that part. Maybe we see, okay, officials at number whatever, and these are the things that put her here. So and
Yeah.
so is at 11. These are the things she did better than this person. Maybe we see that part of it and no, not as much as we're seeing, right? You stick to that criteria every time it becomes out of order and you're mentioning what somebody looks like, what they wore, things like that. You scale back. Okay, that's not on the list.
And then
Like Tata
also,
was trying to do. And maybe you have that moderator that we suggested last year be there. I know they tried to get someone, okay, that person wasn't available. How about you get a second person that's available to be the moderator to bring the conversation back? We've given suggestions several times already. And if they're not being, and I said this, just said this to Rita on Twitter in the spaces, if I'm speaking and I'm talking and I'm trying to give you my opinion, and if you're talking over me, there's no way that you're listening to me for constructive criticism. Whether you think I'm right or wrong, you speak after me, not during me, because otherwise it's an argument and I'm going to get louder because I'm not being heard.
yeah, you want to know something that's crazy, like beyond the list, like me, I just realized like encounters, and this is with men and women that people have not learned to do, and it's part of being an adult. People don't know how to communicate. Like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, sometimes people don't even yell, but they only listen to you to respond. So that's why you see in
That's a
life,
fact.
you wind up having conversations with somebody 12 times, and you like, nigga, how many times do I got to tell you the same thing? Well, it's because 9 times out of 10, the first 11, they not listening. They just want to get out what they
Yeah.
gotta say. So when you talking, they on mute. All right, they done.
Yep.
Yo, I said such and such, such and such. If people was able to
And you didn't
digest,
even want to listen. Yeah.
exactly,
Like take a
exactly, exactly,
moment to
exactly.
honestly see what I'm saying. And then even like watching the show, right? We all watching it at the same time on caffeine. You see some of the people that were in the panel in the comments, like, oh, it's forced conversations going on at once with laughing face. That's not even funny. How is that possible? That if y'all are discussing something that's so important that there's four different conversations happening, that's where the moderator comes in, like, hey, wait a minute, what are the sidebars? Because maybe you're saying something that's important to the conversation that we should bring to the forefront. But if two people are talking about it over here, two people are talking about a whole different number, one person's not even paying attention no more because they done gave up. How do
Mm-hmm.
you bring everybody back to the same point and feel included? Yes, it's a hard job to do, and they did do some work. Did they move up tremendously from last year? Absolutely. But there's still things that need to be worked on. And if y'all are not willing to take that criticism, and when I say y'all, I mean collectively as a group, because it doesn't seem like everyone is as willing as some others are.
Yeah,
Period. Y'all can't be arguing with people online. Granted, everybody's not going to like each other. We got it. But after the fact, y'all can't be going back and forth calling people bitches, hoes, bums, losers, skeezers, and shit. Like, can't be doing that. Y'all can't be doing that. No matter how y'all feel or how mad y'all are, because you signed up for this. Just like I'm not gonna argue with every fan that's calling me ugly. There's people in the comments right now that's calling me shit from, you know what I'm saying,
yeah.
from Sesame Street. You think I want to fight with them? I don't give a fuck. I'm married with children. I don't care what you think I look like. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But I would be wrong if I were to argue with every single person because I signed up for this.
yeah, yeah.
You don't y'all don't think that don't make me mad? I signed up for that though.
Yeah, no, 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 no. That's why I tell people all the time when they say like, and I had to learn that as I got older because I used to say, yo, I only signed up for the shit in the ring, but I still be telling people like I had somebody just at an event this past weekend outside. I'm having a full blown conversation with I forgot who, and the nigga comes up, and I excused him because it's like, okay, you think you know me because you watch me, and he's like, yeah, and I mean such and such DNA with this bitch ass shit, and I just looked at him, and he's like, yo, my bad, my bad. So, but it's like at the same time now, if I go and just swing on him and hook off, then I'm still wrong
Then
because
you
it's like
wrong.
I signed
Yeah.
up for this, but as a
Mm-hmm.
human,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna let you slide with it. But it's like you gotta understand, man. Once you decide to be in the public light, it's a lot that comes with it. Your privacy, a
Yeah,
lot
and
of things.
you gotta carry yourself a little bit different
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
And that's I think that's all
But you know what it
people are
is though,
trying to
Shooney.
say.
Don't. I'm gonna tell you what it is. We 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 got to discover that more and understand it and do it because this is every day. There's no day you wake up and you're not Shooney. There's no day I wake up and I'm not DNA. The reason why the
Mm-hmm.
people on the panel are having a difficult time with it because that's after the panel they back to just you know what I mean being
Right.
somebody
Mm-hmm.
that is talking about the culture. So it's hard for them to wear that hat because it's for a short period
Mm-hmm.
because they don't you know what I mean
That makes sense.
not that they're not important, but it's like they don't continue to do this. This is not a monthly or weekly thing
Mm-hmm.
for them. It's once a year. So they just, after they
Yeah,
do it,
that
it's
makes
like, yo,
sense.
I'm back to who I am. What the fuck you saying? Like, boom. But they gotta, you know what I mean? It's gonna take time if you want to be a part of the panel and understand, like, yo, when you give your opinion, everybody's not gonna like it. That's why you got certain
Hmm.
people that don't even give their opinion. They
Yeah.
just,
And I also feel like, and I don't know if they do or they don't do it, I do think there should be some sort of introduction to who the panelists are, what their credibilities are, and what brings them up there. Because I I don't know the person's name. It's something with knowledge in it. The brown skinned young lady with the glasses. Someone mentioned light work, and she's like, light work is a thing. They should have escorted her out as soon as she said that. Ma'am, step to the side, please. We want to ask you to come on outside. You can give out waters for the rest of the night. But wow, like, and
oh, they
even if
saying
you
that's
joking,
Nikki. I
you
know
think
Nikki,
to do
but yo,
okay.
what's crazy is I'm surprised because her battle IQ to me, anytime I had conversations with her, she knew. So that's crazy. She didn't know about light work. But yeah,
But it's like, come on. And then I didn't know who she was. And somebody said, okay, she works for 15 minutes of fame. Maybe you do a short bio, right? And we put that out. Meet your Woty and Cody panelists, right? You could do it for
mm-hmm.
both of them because I've seen those things come up with Cody.
Yeah,
Who's that guy? Who's this? What does he do? What makes him know? You know what I'm saying? And that could take a lot of criticism back too, because it's like, oh, well, this person has been around, they've been doing this, and this is the footwork they put in, and this what makes them knowledgeable, not because knowledgeable is in my name, right?
mm-hmm.
We want to know, what do you actually know that gives you the ability to come up here and judge what people have done for the last 12 months, right?
Yeah,
And I think that's something they can add in as well. Okay, this is Cece on air. We don't know Cece. What does Cece do? She works at a radio station, right? She's a writer. She has a degree. I know these things because I know her personally. But other people watching may be like, who's that?
yeah,
What does she do? What does Lola do? What does Tata do? You understand what I'm saying? I think that might help take some of the criticism back as well. I just don't feel like, I feel like things were just being mentioned at times that they shouldn't have been mentioned, and things that worked in one person's favor didn't work in the other person's favor when the argument came to it. And I think if they stick to that criteria, they will have an easier job to do. But shout out to them. It, nonetheless, it's a job that nobody wants to do, right?
yeah,
Because you get all of this every year. You're going to
mm-hmm.
have people that's going to be mad no matter what. But y'all continue to do it, so y'all should get credit for that, right? And I said thank you every single time that I started the conversation, but I am gonna voice how I feel.
Yeah. No, for sure, for
Simple
sure.
as that.
But as you should. Listen, you put in a lot of work last year. I said, battle
Thank you.
rap for the females was the most competitive. I feel like, it ever was last year, and it's a lot of credit to you. In and out the ring, like just you. Talking shit. Making it a thing. Because you got to remember, for a
Hmm.
while it was like it was there, but it wasn't this resurgence. So, it's you,
That's a fact.
Hustle, Jazz, Vixen, C3, 40
Casey.
Bars,
Hmm.
Casey, Yoshi, Official. Y'all all got
Flames.
Rain. Yeah,
Yeah,
y'all
like
all got y'all
yeah,
all got a
yeah,
big part to
yeah.
do with it. So, I definitely, I'm not Hustle. I'm not mad at, like, even like, and this is my thing. Once you learn people, you gotta understand, like, like Hustle, when you having a regular conversation with her, she's loud. That's just her. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
like, she's a passionate type of person. Like, and people
Yeah,
know.
that's a fact.
I feel like in the culture, like I said, it's entertaining, but sometimes you gotta know when to put your ego aside and just do that. Like, I had times when I know I'm wrong, and I'm not gonna let my friend yell at me on a regular bit, but go ahead, man. I'm wrong. As long as you ain't slapping me or hitting me or telling me
Hmm.
SMD, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you rock. I understand how
Yeah,
you
I
feel
mean
right
that
now.
comes along with too, with us being from New York too. Like I
Yeah,
talk aggressive too, so a lot of times when people are speaking to me, they're like, "Oh, you had an attitude," and it's just like that's just me. You know what I mean? And everybody, I can't use that as an excuse, and I don't think everybody should agree with it. But it's me. That's how
yeah,
I talk. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to be rude, but I am gonna get my point across. And if you get loud, I'm gonna get louder, right? And if I
yeah,
feel like you're not listening to me, I'm definitely gonna start screaming. Like, and that may be something that I personally need to work on, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Again, shout out to the panel. It's a hard job to do. Somebody got to do it. But y'all had me all the way fucked up. Okay.
Facts.
Had official all the way fucked up. Okay.
You wasn't you ain't see outside, right? You wasn't in
No,
Orlando for
I
that.
didn't go. Nah,
All
I
right.
wasn't. I wasn't able to make it.
All right, I'm about to my last few minutes on here. I'm gonna recap that before I get off. But before I let you go, just
Mhm.
being that this is a new year, you already had the hustle battle, you already had the Shug battle. Who? I mean, you and Casey, right? That's
Also, cash flow Rizzy. So I'm
yeah on the
already in there. I
bullpen.
already had three. Yeah, I already had three rounds
Okay,
battles. So I already qualified. Okay, I'm gonna limit my one rounders since everybody was so mad that I was outside everywhere.
yeah,
But if your question was who I want this year, definitely want to see Coffee this
okay,
year.
fire. Yeah, she's outside
You know
too.
what I'm saying?
That's fire.
KCJ, E Heart,
Mm,
Cheddar.
Cheddar.
Could throw my verse in there. We
Mm.
could throw your punk ass in there.
You know, see, there
You
you
know what
go,
I'm
there you
saying?
go, starting on the wrong foot, man.
Yeah, throw you in there. I personally want to see Danny Myers. Just because I want to battle like all the big punchers. I was mad that I wasn't able to. We're not gonna get that young cannon. Hopefully they reschedule it.
Yeah,
That was supposed to be this coming weekend, but I wanted to battle him. At some point, I want to see B Magic. I haven't battled Prestavia yet, but she's taking some time off. I know she's with child. Shout out to the homie Prestavia.
yeah.
So when she comes back, that'll be dope. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm always outside. So
Okay, okay, okay.
whoever, whenever.
Nah, for sure. I'm glad we clarified that up though. I mean, I'm sure you did everywhere else, but I'm saying on here. So, I mean, definitely. I think you're gonna do great in all your battles except for the one with me. So I'm gonna holler at you later. I'm gonna holler at you later.
Fuck out of here, man.
All right, bet.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, no doubt.
All right,
Yo,
later.
um, before we get out of here, we about to recap this outside two card. I know a lot of people was asking me to do it. I was in the building, so let me just start off by saying this. Shout out to everybody that was on the outside card. My biggest take from